Italy's President Sergio Mattarella has announced that he will dissolve Parliament, triggering early elections. That's after Prime Minister Mario Draghi resigned earlier today. Now, following weeks of turmoil, Draghi's government imploded on Wednesday, with some members of his coalition refusing to back him in a confidence vote. The former banker took office 17 months ago with a mandate to help the country recover after the COVID pandemic. His pro-EU stance and staunch support of Ukraine's war effort against Russia led to divisions within his coalition and towards its ultimate downfall. Well, in Rome for us and across all of the latest developments is our correspondent, Giorgia Orlandi. Giorgia, where are we in this process? Because Draghi's resigned. This time, President Mattarella accepted his resignation. So what happens next?
Hi, Elena. Well, already this morning, President Mattarella's office issued a statement confirming that Draghi reiterated his resignation and saying that the government will stay on to manage current affairs. In other words, the current government will stay on to approve the few remaining key measures that have yet to be approved. As confirmed by President Mattarella, as you mentioned there, by dissolving Parliament now, under the current legislation, 70 days have to pass between the moment Parliament is being dissolved and the next general election, which clearly means that those elections are very likely to happen on the 25th of September. Now, there's been a debate over this, whether or not this election could take place either on the 2nd of October or much earlier. And it seems that Mattarella decided that these elections should take place earlier. And that's because Italy's future government, by doing so, will be able to approve the budget bill. We said that yesterday that clearly that has to be approved by and within a certain deadline. Helena?
All right, so snap elections potentially towards the end of September then. Any names out there already as to who could step into Draghi's shoes?
Well, recent polls suggest that Italy's next Prime Minister could be from the centre-right bloc. And those polls gave Italy's Brothers of Italy, which is actually one of Italy's main centre-right parties, if not far-right parties, around 23% of the vote, which is quite significant. And in fact, the leader, Giorgia Meloni, well, there have been suggestions that Giorgia Meloni could actually become Italy's next Prime Minister. We said also, we commented on the fact that yesterday's debate actually showed how political parties have already embarked on what now seems to be a political campaign, and also that explains why the centre-right bloc has been pushing so much for early polls, and that's because one of their intentions clearly was to cash in on their current popularity. But also, let's remind ourselves that Italy's alignment under a new government, under, let's say, a centre-right government, would be much different, especially when it comes to relations with Europe, relations with other international partners. And clearly, this could become a little bit of a game changer when it comes to having to deal with the war in Ukraine or the energy crisis. Helena?
Absolutely a key point there. Giorgia Orlandi in Rome. Giorgia, thanks very much. Well, to talk now more about the European reaction to Mario Draghi's departure, we can bring in our correspondent, Maeve McMahon, in Brussels. Maeve, how is the news going down across Europe?
Good evening, Helena. Well, here in Brussels, they're celebrating the Belgian national holiday, but you can be sure that those working for the EU institutions will not be celebrating tonight or enjoying those fireworks, because the news is going down like a ton of bricks here in the EU institutions and, of course, across the continent among those in the European political sphere. Because Mario Draghi, well, he was seen as a bit of a superhero among the European political elite. He was, of course, the man who back in 2012 said those famous words that he would do whatever it takes to preserve the euro, the common European currency. He's seen then as a very stable man, as a man who oozes credibility, and he was the one pushing ahead with reforms that Italy needs to push ahead with in order to cash in from the EU's post-recovery fund. So you can imagine a sense of loss really in Europe, among the European political sphere today. We heard from Paolo Gentiloni, that's the EU Commissioner for Italy in charge of the economy, saying that this could bring about chaos over the next couple of months in Italy itself and create a backlash against the country. We saw Emmanuel Macron, the French president, saying that he was a great Italian statesman who had great trustworthiness, because of course Europe's heading for a tricky, difficult winter, and it really needs stability right now, not instability, with all the big challenges it faces. So all this uncertainty will not come as good news at all here for the EU capital, for Brussels.